It's September, so I'm up the allotment to harvest some of my raspberries. Now this variety is called Autumn Bliss, and the harvests are coming in thick and fast now, which only means one thing: raspberry cake. To make the raspberry cake, you will need one mixing bowl, one measuring jug, one hand blender, an 8-inch cake tin, a metal spoon, a wooden spoon, and a cooling rack. And for the ingredients, you will need 225 grams of butter, 225 grams of caster sugar, 225 grams of self-raising flour, 4 eggs, half a teaspoon of baking powder, and 400 grams of raspberries. And to decorate, you'll need some buttercream icing. So this recipe is going to be broken down into 2 main parts. The first part, we are going to make the raspberry sauce, which will go in the cake, and then the second part is going to be the cake recipe. You can buy the raspberry sauce from your local supermarket, but if you have any leftover raspberries, we lost one of them, then it's quite easy to make yourself. So I'm just going to fry the raspberries just for a little while, just to help them break up, because we want the sauce to be nice and juicy and just tasting of raspberries. So just fry them for a little bit. There's no need to add any oil or anything, just until they start to soften up. It really doesn't take that long. So I think that's about it. And then what you want to do is add them to your measuring jug or a beaker, anything that you can fit your hand blender into. Let's try and do this without spilling it everywhere. Oh, I can already smell the raspberry. Oh, it's delicious and so strong. And then all you want to do is get your hand blender and blend the mixture into a nice smooth paste. Which, yet again, doesn't take that long. Just make sure you get every bit of raspberry, because this is supposed to be a sauce. The smell is just delicious. Right, let's take that off. So that is your raspberry sauce. Now, some people like to put it through a sieve or a straining piece of muslin, but I think I'm going to keep it like this. I want a bit of texture, and I think this is just going to be delicious in a cake as it is. So that's the sauce all done. So now we'll move on to the cake. So before you do anything, you want to preheat your oven to around 180 or gas mark number 4. And then you can get on with the cake. So you need 225 grams of butter, caster sugar and self-raising flour. Now I measured all my ingredients out in advance just to make life a little bit easier. And then what you want to do is you want to cream your butter and your caster sugar together in the mixing bowl with a wooden spoon, just so it's nice and light and fluffy. Then you need 4 eggs and you want to beat them in individually. And after you've beaten all of the 4 eggs in, you want to add the flour and the baking powder. So that's 225 grams of self-raising flour. And then half a teaspoon of baking powder. Then you want to combine all those ingredients together. I use a metal spoon to put the flour in, and I gently fold the mixture over each other. And this will just help to make it rise a little bit better. Now this will make 1 8-inch cake, which probably won't be enough in our house. I can't see it lasting very long. But not to worry, I'm sure there's plenty of harvests of raspberries to come yet. So just make sure all the flour is combined with the rest of the mixture. And that's about done. So once that's done, we can start to add our raspberries. So you should have about 300 grams of raspberries left. Now you want to add about 3/4 of those raspberries to your cake mixture, because you want to keep some to decorate the top with. So I'll keep about, let's put that broken one in, keep about that much. So you add 3/4 of your whole raspberries in, and then you add your raspberry sauce in that you made just now. And then you gently and carefully fold that into the cake mixture. Obviously it doesn't matter if you break up some of the raspberries. And it's looking delicious. So that's about it. So I'm just going to put that to one side and grease my cake tin. So I've got an 8-inch cake tin here, a round one. You can use a square one or you can use a loaf if you wish. And I'm going to grease it with some butter, if I can find my kitchen roll here. So I've got some butter left over. I'm just going to run it round the tin just to grease it, because I don't want the cake mixture sticking to the cake tin, because then I won't be able to get it out and I won't be able to eat it. And I would not be happy. One more bit just around the edges. And then all you need to do is fill the tin with your lovely, delicious cake mixture. And then we will pop it in the oven for about 50 minutes or until it is turned a nice golden colour, and you need to test it with a knife, and if the knife comes out nice and clean then it's ready. But it's about 50 minutes. This is going to be delicious. So just make sure it's nice and level. And then pop it in the oven for 50 minutes. And while that's cooking, I may get on with some weeding, because the weeds do keep growing. And maybe lick out the bowl as well. Right, that's ready. I've just tested it with a knife, and if the knife comes out clean then it's ready to come out the oven. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let it cool down in the cake tin for a while, and then I will transfer it to a wire cooling rack where I will let it cool down completely, and then we can start to decorate it. So the cake warmed down completely. I actually took it outside because it's quite warm in the shed. Because the oven's been on and because the shed's only 6x4, it heats up really quickly. So I took the cake outside to cool down faster. I've just put some buttercream icing on. Now I cheated. I bought some ready-made from the shop. But I mean, buttercream is easy enough to make. It's just butter and icing, sugar and vanilla extract. So it's easy to make, but you know, it's easier to cheat. So I cheated. So I've just put a layer of buttercream. Oh, I love cakes with lots of cream and icing on. So I've layered it on a bit. And I'm just going to lay the raspberries round the outside. Just because it looks pretty. Now, because these raspberries are fresh, you will need to eat the cake quite quickly, which I mean is pretty obvious. It's not going to last long in our house. Ooh, there's quite a lot left. Put another layer around the inside. The more raspberries, the better. One more. That one. And ta-da! Raspberry cake. So that's all done. I think the last thing to do, and probably the most fun part, is to have it with a cup of tea. So I'm going to do just that. I've done some reading on the allotment, so I think I deserve a bit of raspberry cake. So thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.